Let's expand on an idea from one of my previous videos, which is that living in a car was largely about being uncomfortable. To do this, I want to share a little bit more about my personal story. I was born and grew up in a relatively small city in Southern California. It's quiet, it's safe, and people come from all walks of life. It's got plenty to do. It's a close drive to other fun cities such as Los Angeles, and it's only about a 20-minute drive from multiple beaches. The weather, almost always sunny and nice. There would be a number of nights throughout my life when I would be taking a late night walk, walking towards a nearby park and thinking to myself about just how lucky I am to be able to walk out here at this hour in shorts and a t-shirt and feel completely safe. It really is such a beautiful place, and I'm so lucky that it was simply gifted to me. I stayed in that city living in my parents' home until I was 27. Now, I know that this has become more and more common in our generation, but it still makes me cringe just a little bit to say that out loud. Probably because when we think of success, we usually don't think of staying with our parents until our late 20s. But still, the college that I went to was close enough to drive to from home, and staying there allowed me to save money and put that money towards traveling, of which I did quite a bit. But it was around this time in my mid to late 20s when I started listening to a lot about personal growth and happiness. I learned that one of the key elements to growth and happiness is to challenge yourself with new and uncomfortable situations. It was then that I started to realize that one of the biggest aspects of my life, the place and environment in which I was living, had remained safe and constant and was not challenging me. After all, it was the same place in which I was born, and dinner was always waiting for me at the table. Up to this point, I had already started on a career path, and I had subscribed to the idea that I would move up in that career, make more and more money, and then be able to buy my own home. But before I could do that, I decided to move out with a friend into a brand new apartment. Even though rent took up about half of my paycheck each month, I wanted to live somewhere nice, at least for 1 year, and then settle for a cheaper place for a while. The apartment had all the amenities that you could want. It had 2 pools, 2 gyms, and each unit came with a washer and dryer. It definitely was not roughing it at this point, but the simple fact that I was no longer at home, I was in charge of all of my own bills and groceries, and I had to learn to live with a roommate made me feel like I was growing personally. But even once I moved out into this apartment, it was only about 45 minutes away from home, and I still had a job in the city where I grew up. Okay, so now we get to the part where my idea of what my life needed really started to change. I really started to feel like I needed to challenge myself. I was getting more and more unhappy and stressed at work, and it was depressing to think about all of the adventures that I wanted to have in my life that would each have to wait for a short 2-week vacation each year. Although the job promised big opportunities of running a part of the business, it looked as though it would really require me to settle into the same place in which I grew up. I would continue to learn a lot about the business, and I would continue to make more and more money, but I could feel that my sense of adventure and exploration of the world would be pushed aside. Because of this, I knew I needed to move on, but I also felt like I didn't know exactly what to do next. All I knew was that in order to find a new path, I'd first have to get lost. Getting lost, that is putting yourself in positions of uncertain opportunity, is a way of being open-minded about new things or new ways of acting. It's a way of bringing your mind to the present as you are forced to learn new things very quickly, and it helps to present new experiences that can change the course of your life. Getting lost was how I found the job that I was now walking away from. At the time, I had a falling out with my business partner and decided to walk away from it. I admitted to people that I was lost and unsure of what to do next, which in itself was a scary thing, but that I was willing to talk to anyone that might inspire me. Because of this, one of my best friends introduced me to his mentor, and together we had breakfast. I had no agenda for money, no agenda for work. I simply wanted a good conversation with a respectable person. That breakfast turned into 2 more, and soon I had a great job opportunity in my lap in a field that I previously knew nothing about. This all happened by getting lost. Most people that have done a lot of traveling will tell you that some of the most impactful and memorable moments of their travels came when they got lost, when things got a little sketchy, and when they had wandered into something unexpected. Maybe they found a new friend or a hidden spot that they otherwise would have passed. Or maybe they learned that they are more capable than they once thought after struggling to ask for directions in a new language or navigating busy city streets. We grow so much from these experiences, but the trouble with human nature is that because we strive so hard to find our way, once we feel that we've finally figured things out, we can hold on to those things, those ideas, so tightly that we become scared to get lost and thus grow once again. So now we come back full circle. Why would someone choose to live in their car instead of simply going back to a beautiful home? Because to me, going back to my parents' place was not a way of getting lost. It was going back to something familiar, something comfortable. If I was going to quit my job, pursue the things that truly excite me in life, and find a new path, I needed to make some big changes. I needed to get lost. Living in my car was a way of doing that. In the early days of doing it, I would sometimes be laying in the back seat and thinking to myself, am I really doing this? I'm 29 years old. Is this where my life is now? Is this what my college degree got me? But I felt in my heart that these questions are coming from a place of privilege, a place of societal pressures and standards. I remind myself that it's ignorant to think that this is somehow beneath me. And I remind myself that this fight to break down preconceived notions of what constitutes growth or success is exactly what I need right now. So that's why I didn't move back home, even though I probably would have been welcomed back with open arms. That's why I'm trying to think outside the box, and that's why I'm learning to grow and be grateful for very little.